Good day everyone, hope you're doing really well. Let's do a bit of a C0 Nilou Bloom guide. I don't know what you really want to call it, but playthrough in the Abyss. We'll alternate between using the classic Nilou Kokomi Nahida core with a Collei and Kirara alternative, just to show you the different playmaking options. But yeah, it's this time again. Obviously, it's now Nilou's rerun, and a bazillion content creators have already told you Nilou's amazing and blah 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 and all sorts of nonsense. At the end of the day, what really matters is the practical stuff. So I assume people know mostly the abilities here, and that's really what the focus is going to be on, how to apply those abilities and to look at some of the practical considerations. Do note that I definitely just share an artifact here with Kirara and Collei. It's the exact same one, so that's just why it is on the screen. In any case, my Kirara is at constellation C0 for this video, so not the usual C6, and that will matter. Okay, so let's see what we can do. So here on the first half, you can see I've got Kirara. I'm going to quickly go here with Kokomi, quickly dodge the enemy fire. There are a bazillion bunch of things you can do. I'll show you another variation a bit later on. And here you can see I'm using Kirara, bouncing in between the enemies, applying a bit of Dendro here and there, but it's a pretty okay time to clear the first half. We go into Nahida here to iframe the enemies hitting us, waiting for that Nilou cooldown reset. We've got the shield, which is really nice. It means we can take a couple of hits without being like, interrupted. Of course, Kirara at C0 isn't giving us a lot of Dendro applications. You can definitely feel that clearing these two mobs is a bit slower, but the key technique here is to try and get them to be as close as possible. So as you saw there in the beginning, you want to try and finish off the one, make him fall in towards where the other one is positioned, then go around to the other guy and then try and get them to be close. And you can see here, this is the best way to do it. You've got a Dendro Aura from Nahida, you've got the Hydro Ring from Nilou, and then you've got Kokomi on field with her jellyfish. That should give you a pretty decent clearing time. Here is Kirara again. That's just for me to get the shield. I actually misplayed there. It should have first been Kokomi, Nilou, and then Kirara, but I mean, mistakes were made. And yeah, from here on, you just try and group up the enemies, try and hit them simultaneously. You can see here we're losing a bit of the Dendro Aura because we don't have that C6 Kirara, that extra bit of Dendro that can come through. But in any case, it's a pretty fun, easy, comfortable clear. So let's repeat this now with Collei and So there you can see it's Kokomi, there's Nilou. I start activating her E and then I finish it after using her ult. So that's another way you can dodge some of the enemy hits. By the way, I'm not doing an optimal Nilou run here. I'm just trying to highlight different techniques that you can use. But in any case, so here we do the exact same thing. We iframe with Nahida, we use Collei to try and burst down the enemies. We're going to use Nilou's strong motion values to take care of them. And there you go. You can see here with that extra bit of Dendro from Collei, it's much faster. I'm going to use Nilou's elemental burst here, a bit of Collei just to keep triggering stuff, and then Kokomi's elemental burst to break one of these little Pyrolector shields, keeping in mind to try and group these two together as much as possible. One mistake I made here was to not, well, in terms of my positioning, I should have probably positioned on the other side of them so that they can fall more towards the center of the abyss, which is a big problem. If I had done that, they'd probably save at least 1 or 2 extra seconds when you move from this side of the abyss to that side of the abyss. So it's a little something that you need to take note of. But in any case, this is just for demo purposes, really. Okay, once again, we're just going to do the usual thing. You can see we ran a bit out of Hydro, so using Collei's burst was a bit premature. You can see here just for demo as well, you can go with Nilou and use her elemental skill, like the sword stance. Unfortunately, in certain cases, like you saw there in the background, you can actually then just take a lot of Dendro damage, and even with Nilou's massive HP pool, she can really quickly be taken care of, which is a bit of a problem. In any case, so here we are on the second half now. We are back to Kirara, and there are a bunch of variations here. So this variation ensures that after Nilou's ring is active, we just ping pong here in between with Kirara and just take care of the enemy. That's also why it's good to build your Kirara properly. And yeah, you can see here again, there's Kokomi, there is the Nilou Hydro ring, and we push the enemies together, and boom, look at that, Kirara going boom, just alternating between applying Dendro between these two, and with the Nahida elemental skill on them both, you are guaranteed to always at least have a bit of Dendro, which is the key thing. You want the Dendro aura, not the Hydro aura. Here it's just the normal stuff. Activate Nilou's ring, put down a bit of like little kitties on the field, hit the enemies in an AoE, swipe them with Nahida, do a bit of Kokomi, which was a mistake, and this is exactly why Kirara with Constellations is so good, because you can really then keep that Dendro Aura stable and on the enemies and not let the Hydro Aura take it over. For those of you that probably don't know, the reason why we want the Dendro Aura on it is because whenever Hydro hits onto Dendro, you get more cores than if it's the other way around. In any case, so here are a bunch of enemies. We've got Nilou's ring, so we just do little cute kitty things. The enemy can't really hit us. We can always escape. Use Nilou's elemental burst to hit it at a range. It is pretty easy to take care of the enemy, and then you can start battering up, using a couple of your skills, take care of the enemy. There's lots of time on the clock, so this is pretty fun and simple. Alright, so now let's go and do this again, but with Collei in tow. You can see here my Nilou's gotten a bit of less health because she took damage on the previous floor, so in this case I just use Kokomi to like heal up, and as you saw there, as the enemies tried to hit me, I just use Collei's elemental burst, and then I'm going to use Kokomi to just break these enemies out of their, what do you call it, charge attack stance. There's so much small little tech and with Kokomi that a lot of people don't know, but this is one of them. And once again, you can see here we've got the enemies, trying grouping them up as much as possible. Do be careful because they can actually take care of Collei very quickly, so you either want to iframe that with burst or switch to a character like Kokomi or Nilou to tank it. But here we go, this is just normal stuff, two enemies being grouped together. There's Collei, there's Kokomi, she's taking on the field, she's going to start healing up the team. You can see it's always nice if you can get the enemies grouped up, because then the constant intro course is going to be really good. And yeah, here we go, more enemies, we iframe, we hit them. This is one of the things that I also love doing, is just using my motion values and abilities to tank. Here's just a good example once again for demo purposes of where Nahida with Kokomi's jellyfish on field can also just tank and anchor your position instead of you being knocked around. So this is the thing, Nilou's got that on her E ability. She's got a bit of like resistance to interruption. Kokomi obviously during her burst, Nahida during her E, and you can use these in different ways and in different combinations. By the way, here in the background I'm just healing up everyone, because if there's time on the clock, why not heal up everyone? Why not get some elemental burst energy, etc. But yeah, I mean, ultimately the play style, hopefully that you can see in the background, is all about using your elemental skills and then iframing with your burst as necessary, but also to do it in a clever way such that you can keep the Dendro Aura on the enemies. Okay, so let's go here to the final floor. I could have done better there with Nilou, I admit. But in any case, so this is where we're just going to do the little Kirara thing, Kokomi on field, take care of the enemies. And once again, you can see without those Kirara constellations, you lose quite a bit of the Dendro Aura on the enemy. And that just makes it a bit more awkward for rotation purposes. Nonetheless, one of the benefits of having Kirara is one that will come up now. Once you've got the Nilou Aura, you just run around with the little kitty, trying to tag as many enemies as possible, and you try and get this enemy right here, because he's just going to be running around. You can see there with Nilou, I keep my position, so if I had a Kokomi jellyfish stationed here, I use my Nilou burst to tag it at range, it's going to come back in and we can just hit it. So this is all about understanding positioning and the like. Oop, just like almost let Nahida die there, which could be a mistake. But once again, this isn't speed running or to be how can you put it, this isn't showcasey kind of footage. This is just to kind of demonstrate some of the principles. There you go, you can see it there with Nahida. We can keep up position. If you're going to do the Kirara thing, just make sure you've got the Nilou ring on, otherwise it's just a waste to have Kirara hitting enemies, unless you've got Kokomi's jellyfish, but sometimes that's not enough in terms of the Hydro. And yeah, look here. Once again, this is where Collei would really shine, because you get that extra Dendro. So now it's a bit of an awkward mess where you need to alternate between the one and the other, and you've got a single target. So this is unfortunately where the Nilou team definitely doesn't, well, they don't really shine as well. So the only, I think, advice I can give in AoE context like this is to always just ensure that you spread out your damage evenly in such a way so that you can get as many enemies grouped up in an AoE to do the most damage damage before you run into a problem like that. Here you can see we're just doing once again the exact same thing, taking care of the enemy. So the first few mobs are not really that difficult. Once again, if I didn't use my Collei boomerang, we can quickly run out of it, but now that I've got the Collei boomerang, it's far easier because I get the consistency of Dendro. It's a lot easier to then also hit these enemies in AoE. Once again, if the enemy tries to hit you, you just iframe, move around. I'm trying to move towards one of these enemies. You can see here, tag the enemies, and I'm going to move now to the other enemy to try and ensure that these two are grouped up, because if they're not grouped up, well, then my Dendro cores are not going to hit the two at the same time, which would be a big problem. Also, don't underestimate the power of the AoE on the Dendro cores. So yeah, that is a bit of a wrap up for today's video. There's obviously a lot more we could talk about, but effectively all it comes down to is understanding your team, understanding the different abilities that are available, understanding how to constantly ensure that you've got a good throughput of Dendro onto the enemies, grouping up the enemies to get as many AoE hits as possible, because effectively you'll then double your damage, and then just understanding HP management, using Kokomi when you need to, not always having her fully on the field, but alternating as necessary, etc, etc. It's Nilou teams are so much fun because of so much technical capability, and it's just the fact that they play different. It's not standing in a big fat Bennett circle trying to do as many buffs as possible, but rather about the intricacies of how you play and how you position, which is just, it just makes them so much fun, even here at C0. Alright guys, that's it from my side. Thanks for watching.